Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. It's Ben Lister here. How are you doing today? And welcome to episode 23 of the BL and Friends podcast. Let's crack on. As you know, each week I have my friends as guests to talk about their career, their hobbies, their jobs. So let's crack on with this week's guest. He's broadcaster from all different radio stations, and he was from the legendary duo Foxy and Tom. It's Tom, the one and only Tom Bellwood. Hello, Tom. Welcome along.
Hello, Ben. How are you? Thank you for calling me by my birth name. But if anyone was interested at the time, my middle name is Rhys, so I made decisions to call myself Tom Rhys. So Foxy and Tom was John Fox and Tom Rhys. There you go. There's a boring fact to start this off.
Brilliant. And you spent a lot of time up in my neck of the woods on the banks of the Humber in Hull.
I did. And started at Viking FM in September 2000, doing weekend overnights, and ended up, after I graduated from university, I moved to Hull. Be June 2001, and stayed there for another 5 years, and loved every minute. I'm hugely fond of Hull, hugely fond of Viking, the people that I met there, the experiences that I had, I wouldn't change for the world.
Which presenter was the first presenter you saw when you arrived at Viking?
My first experience when I came in for interview, the first person I was introduced to was Sam Hayward. Or for those of you who remember her days at Radio City, her name was Airborne Whitbourne, because she used to do the travel updates for Radio City. I got introduced to Sam Hayward, and then later that evening was actually JK and Joel's leaving do. Before they went over to Q103. So the first person I met was Sam Hayward. I was introduced to her by Darren Leatham, who was the breakfast producer at the time. And then that evening I met all the presenters. I met Kirsty Moore, I met JK and Joel. Just met everyone that evening.
Brilliant. Mark Summers as well.
Mark Summers. One of... I've not seen him in probably 15 years, but he's still one of my dear good friends.
He's living out in Egypt now, I think.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yep, on the Nile FM.
Yeah.
Yep, he's a brilliant presenter, and Dan Morfitt's now out in New York.
I know. The Viking FM diaspora of people moving around the world. Mark Summers has gone to Egypt. Dan Moffat, as you say, has gone to New York. John Fox made it to Birmingham. I made it back home. We've gone to the far corners of the world.
And you forgot a friend of mine as well, Simon Green, who's in Bristol.
Yes, Simon Green. I knew Simon Green before. In fact, Simon Green gave me my first on-air gig at Siren FM in Lincoln. I did some specialist dance music shows on an ILR in Lincoln in 1999. I don't know, a long time ago now, but and then we worked together at Viking FM, and Steve became our producer. Foxy and I became our producer at breakfast, and then moved down with us where we went to 210 FM, etc. And he's a wonderful human being. And it's a shame he lives in Bristol and not next door to me.
Yeah, It's a shame, really, and also, yeah, and you look at loads of other presenters, Steve Jordan as well, who's still in this area.
Yeah. Steve Jordan is, he knows the patch very well. Hugely accomplished presenter. He's done it all. And every other weekend he gets to shout, "Good afternoon, East End." And who doesn't want to do that? Apart from me.
Yeah. You should come and work for TalkSport.
Nah, it's all right, mate.
Yeah, because you have John Motson on your side, don't you?
Motti is a legend of the game, needs no introduction, is an accomplished fleece wearer. But things move on. We've worked with Motti for a number of years, and he'll still be part of the TalkSport family. He'll still be doing specials for us, and be an accomplished voice that is incomparable. He's done more commentaries, World Cups, major tournaments than anybody else. So yeah, it would be good to see John again soon.
Yep, brilliant. We'll move on now. 5 questions today, if that's okay.
Go for it, Ben.
I'm gonna hit go now. I'm gonna hit go.
Hit go. Oh,
Press
sorry.
go.
Hit go.
You ready to rumble in the jungle?
Ben, I missed the accent, so I wasn't taking the mic there. Hit go.
You ready to rumble in the jungle?
I'm ready to rumble in your particular jungle. Yes, mate. Go for it.
Let's go for it. Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
I started my broadcast career at Kiss 100 in London, down the Holloway Road, 80 Holloway Road. So the background, I grew up listening to Capital FM, which late 80s, early 90s, which it was the hottest sounding radio. It was everything was 95 point great, and they owned the time. It was 10 Capital FM minutes past 1 p.m. and stuff like that. It was Chris Tarrant, it was Pat Sharp, it was Keith Jensen, it was Dr. Fox, and there was this great big smile on everything they did. And then I discovered Kiss FM, and the presenter was Steve Jackson, who told a listener to shut up. When I've been listening to this kind of waxy, overly kind of beautiful kind of radio of the Capital FM was, and everything was brilliant, and to hear a presenter tell a caller to shut up, it just put my eyes on stalks, So I grew up with Capital FM, but listening to Kiss FM is what piqued my interest in radio. So I set out writing a lot of letters to people like Lorna Clark and Myrna McHugh. Lorna Clark is now, I think her role is, I think she's head of pop music for the BBC, or head of pop. And I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. No, I think she's the pop controller. Anyway, I'll leave the rubbish gags to other people. But Lorna Clark, Paul Pink, Myrna McHugh, Paul Thomas, Paul Pink, who worked at Kiss FM. And I wrote them a torrent of letters. And eventually they answered to one and said, yeah, come in for a couple of weeks. So I got invited to Kiss FM to do a couple of weeks of work experience. And then I wanted to stay. I wanted to keep working there. So I pestered them the whole time that I was there, saying I want to stay, and I ended up staying for. So I did a couple of weeks work experience at Kiss FM just before I started my A levels, and then when I started my levels, I would work a couple of days a week at Kiss, working with Lorna Clark, working with presenters, working with people like Alex Jones to Radio 1. I was there at Kiss FM at that time. That was when there was this exodus of presenters from Kiss FM to Radio 1. So Dangerous Dave, Trevor Mad Hatter Nelson, as he was known then, who's now just plain old Trevor Nelson. Alex Jones Donnelly became the head of music at Radio 1 from Kiss FM. There was just this kind of whole exodus from Holloway Road to Broadcasting House. And I was there around at that time. It was very exciting just to see people moving on to national platforms. But that's where I started. I started at Kiss FM. My first job on day one was to take, and anyone who's ever worked at Kiss FM on Holloway Road back then will remember the lift at Kiss FM was an absolute shambles. It would break down daily. And my first job at Kiss FM was to take cutlery and crockery from the basement into the lift up to the boardroom, which was on the top floor with Gordon Mack. He was hosting an event for some clients. And that was, so my first job in radio was to take crockery and cutlery from the basement at Kiss FM up to the fourth floor and the boardroom up there. And that's how I started.
Brilliant. We'll move on to question 2 now. Fast-paced chart show host style. Who were your inspirations in broadcasting when you were starting out?
When I knew that I liked radio, obviously Capital FM, Chris Tarrant, Pat Sharp, Kid Jensen, and then when I got to Kiss FM, Steve Jackson, David Rodigan, Chris Phillips, Bobby and Steve. They did Matt White, and then as I got older, one of the main influences for me was at Radio 1 when I was older, later teens, was Mark and Lard. Doing freeform and comedy on the radio, I don't think will ever be repeated in the way that they did it. So Mark and Lard, absolutely, the icons of that, the ability to do and to perform in that way every day. Will always stick with me. But the Simon Mayo and obviously Chris Moyles, they were the inspirations.
Brilliant, yeah. And also you look at people like when you were at the big Viking FM building for yourself, when you were at it was the place near the marina, Viking FM.
On Circle Road.
Yeah, near the Whittington Cat Pub.
The DMP.
And Toys R Us.
Yes, and Toys R Us and the ice rink. What else was it near? It was near the American Gold Shop. It was also near a cemetery, and it was also near the marina. And there was some boats and they had dogs that used to foul in the water a lot.
Yeah, and also some other people were there as well. And you worked with the legendary Mr. John Fox. Viking and 210.
Legend in the game. A hero for me.
Still going.
What? He's still alive? I know that.
No, he's still going on the radio, I think. I think he's on BBC WM.
He's still gigging, very much so, and should be gigging more.
He should be on one of these. Bauer should get him back on board if they can.
John's a very, very, very talented individual. He can jock it. He can do personality. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll get there. Again,
He'll get there. Yes.
He'll reach the second mountain.
I think he's already got there, but yeah, go on.
He'll reach the top of the second mountain.
I hope so. I have a huge amount of faith in that man, and I wish him all the best in terms of where he's doing it. Yeah, but just pick up the phone, John.
Yeah, you should train. Is he a sportsman like you?
Is he a sportsman?
Sportsman.
Sports fan. He supports Hull City. He likes rugby league. He's a big sports fan. You know? I just happen to have worked in sports radio. It doesn't make me more of a sportsman than him. Ben?
No, you know what I mean. If you get a sports related thing for a guest and one of your, like, is it Alan Brazil who presents your breakfast show on TalkSport?
Alan Brazil presents Thursdays and Fridays. Laura Woods presents Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
She used to be on Sky Sports.
She did. She started out working on Sky Sports on the darts.
Yeah.
Very talented individual.
Yeah, brilliant she is, yeah. We'll move on to question 3 now. What is your favourite part about the job?
Favourite part of the job, when I was a presenter, look, being on the air every day is a uniquely it's a unique joy in terms of being able to come on and say what you want to say. But I would say the favourite part of the job it was doing live events. Fox and I did Part in the Park. It was Phil Noise Live, and that's when Hursty hosted. But we did Foxy and Tom's Big Bash and stuff like that at the Casey Stadium, which is now the KCON. Foxy and Tom's Brid Bash. The thrill of coming on stage with kind of 50,000 people there will never be beaten. That's got to be the best part of the job. But now the best part of the job for me is developing talent. Working at TalkSport. Working with and bringing through new people. Johnny Owen, who's Vicky McClure's other half, Majestic, and Adi Oladipo, etc., and identifying their ability. That's the most satisfying part of the job for me at the moment. It used to be coming on stage, and introducing acts, but that's for kids, isn't it? Developing talent has become the thing that I'm most satisfied with.
Brilliant. And was one of your events in one of your events, I think, I'm not sure if it was Brid Spa or something, but I think Darren Leatham said something a few months ago that he missed one of your events because he went to I think it was, or he missed one of the Freedom Festival events in Hull because he went to Jim Coulson's wedding.
Yeah, that would have been around about my time. Yeah, that would have been after I left.
Yeah, and he also went to the Oasis concert in 2004 at Hull Arena.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Did you go?
What, in 2000?
2004, I think it was, to the Oasis concert.
I didn't go to that. But Ben, can you wait 1 minute?
Yeah, I'll just pause it. Sorry.